Every wall in the catalog has a set of properties that define not only its size and appearance, but also settings regarding framing, energy efficiency, and a shopping list of materials needed to build it. Let's take a look at a wall in our catalog. To do this, you can go up and you can select Insert, Walls, Walls, or if you like to use the buttons underneath the Building tab, select the drop-down arrow beside Walls and select the Walls option. The catalog on the right-hand side will populate with all the different walls available to us in our catalog. We're going to select one of the walls and we're going to right-click and we're going to select Edit Element. This will bring up the Walls dialog box. And as you can see, it's broken up into different tabs. The first tab we see is the Basic tab. On the Basic tab, you can edit the type of wall construction as well as the components used in the wall system. Our stone wall is a composite wall, meaning it is made up of several components such as a stud wall and an exterior surface. These are going to be separated by sheathing and possibly an airspace. You may also have interior surfaces such as gypsum wallboard applied to the wall. This is also where you can control the top and bottom edges of your wall, as well as the framing options and the energy calculations. The first thing we see under Properties is the wall type. This allows you to choose the type of wall that you are going to be constructing. You can choose between framed, general, concrete, masonry, girt, and log wall. We're building a framed wall, so we're going to make sure that ours is set to framed. The next option we see is the exterior wall system. If the wall being created is to be an exterior wall, this option should be selected as it will adjust the component layout to allow for an exterior finish. If the wall being created is to be an interior wall, this option would be unselected as it will again adjust the component layout to allow for a left and a right interior surface. We can then see that there is a width option. The width is a locked value that updates based on the total thickness of the components that make up the wall that you're creating. So as you adjust your components, this value will update with any changes. Next, we can see component layout. This option applies the components needed to create the wall type that is being defined. When you select this option, the component layout dialog box is opened. So I'm going to press the select button. In the component layout dialog box, the types of components are listed on the left-hand side. A wall can have multiple interior finishes, interior layers, and exterior finishes. It can only have one core option element selected. As you select a component, the middle of the dialog box will display the component's properties, and the graphic to the right will highlight where the component is sitting within the wall itself. So if I select underneath our interior surface option, we'll be able to see that I can see all the different properties. We're also going to be able to see that I can add additional components to the interior finish. So let's add an interior finish to this, and let's say I just want to add tile to it. I can then say OK. This now applies a tile interior surface as well as a drywall interior surface to the wall. On the far right, we can see that it now shows us tile and it shows us drywall. And if I flip the view around and I turn it into a rendered outline view, I can see that I have tile above and drywall below. If I want to change the order in which that these are showing, I can simply select the option and simply press the move down option, and it will now flip it so that the tile sits at the bottom and the drywall sits at the top. Not only can I move these around and add to it, I can also press the delete option to completely remove a material or a component from the list itself. Under the Properties section, in the middle of the column, the component is listed at the top. If you select the component, a button will appear to the right that looks like a browse button. You can simply select that, and this will bring up the Catalog Access dialog box. And this is where the components are going to be found within the catalog. You can right-click on the current component and you can select the Edit Element option. In here, we're going to see additional tabs. So you're going to see a Size tab, an Appearance tab, a Line Work tab, and a Quantity tab. Under the Size tab, you can set the function of the component, and that will carry forward as a default to the Component Layout tab. The width of the component can be added beside the width value. If this is a framing component, check the Frame Component option and then specify a member. Under the energy, you can specify the R value of the component and if you wish to include it in the calculations for your overall energy analysis. Under the Appearance tab, you can set the texture for the component for when it is visible in a 3D view. The Line Work tab allows you to set the layer and the hatch pattern information for the component's view in a surface and in a plan and section view. The Quantity tab will outline the quantity information for the component that will carry back to the parent wall. We're going to click OK to the Components dialog. We're also going to click OK to the Catalog Access, and this will bring us back to the Component Layout. In the Component Layout, you can also pick the function for the component here. The function can be set as a structure, as a sheathing, as a barrier, as insulation, or as a finish. The function determines the properties that will be listed in this dialog box, and we're going to set ours back to being a finish. Each component can be considered load-bearing or get its load-bearing information from the parent wall. Most components are set to parent, so the wall and not the individual components are considered load-bearing or not. So this will be set as a parent option. The width of the component comes directly from the component information which we looked at earlier. This cannot be altered here. It will just give you the size based on the component that you have selected. So since we have selected a 1/2 inch drywall sheet, we're seeing the 1/2 inch width in our width section. Next, we have a top edge and a bottom edge section. And the top edge and bottom edge settings will shift the component up or down relative to the core itself. You can have the component sit higher or lower at the top edge or the bottom edge by typing in a value. The diagram to the right will update to show any changes that you make. So if we wanted to drop the drywall down from the top edge, say 1 foot, when you add that in, it's going to adjust the value here, and I would need to add in a negative value to lower it. So now we're bringing the drywall down 1 foot. Again, a negative value will drop it, and you can also see that in the preview here, and a positive value will add to the height. So if you ever wanted to cover up something with the drywall, you can add that value there. Same will be true with the bottom edge of the wall. If you wanted to add in a value so that it brought the edge up, you can add in your value, or add in a negative value to drop it down further past the wall itself. The last options that we see define if the component is visible when the surface is in elevation view or plan and section views. You can check the options to turn the visibility on or off. I'm just going to say cancel here because I don't want to make any changes to the components, and that will bring us back to the walls dialog box. And we're still looking at the basic tab, but the next thing we're going to be taking a look at is the top edge and the bottom edge of the wall. These options will allow us to adjust how the top edge and the bottom edge behave. The level option will adjust the top or bottom of the wall that is straight. So if it's going to be running at 0 degrees. If you want to change the height of the wall, you can edit the wall height option underneath level. In our catalog, it's set to by location, but you can actually set it to be user defined, and you can type in your own value. We're going to set ours back to location, and whatever our building locations define, that is going to be the height of our wall. We can also slope our walls. So if I select the slope option, I can create an angled top or bottom. So a wall underneath a staircase typically has a slope top to match the slope of the staircase. So you can add in a value for the top of the wall down to the lower part of the slope and create the slope itself. We can also step our walls. This will gradually step the top or the bottom down at regular increments. If you're building your home on a sloped site, you might want to step the bottom of the foundation wall to avoid any excess excavation and materials. And then the last option for our top edge is going to be auto extend. This will extend the top of the wall up to the roof. And when you select auto extend, you're also going to want to add in the offset from roof surface. This can be any value that you want. Typically, we would add in 6 inches there, and that would bring the top of our wall to be sitting about 6 inches below our roof surface. I'm going to set mine back to being level, and that will keep our wall set to level based on our building locations. Next, we can see framing options. You can determine whether a wall is framed as a load-bearing wall or non-load-bearing wall. This ensures that the proper head sill jamb configuration is applied to the wall. You can set it to auto, yes or no. Interior walls set to auto will be defined as non-load-bearing, and exterior walls set to auto will be defined as load-bearing. So depending on the wall that you're working with in the catalog, you can set this up accordingly. Since these are exterior walls, it is set to auto. We could easily set this to yes, and it will always generate these walls as load-bearing walls. I'm just going to keep mine set to auto. Next, we can see energy. This will allow you to set up energy calculations for your wall to export to the ResCheck application. Check to include the walls in your energy calculation. So if you do want to show them, make sure that this option is selected. We can then see wall type. And in the wall type option, ResCheck has different designations for basement and crawl space type of walls. All other walls should be set to normal. We can then see we have a cavity R value. Now the cavity R value is based on the insulation that you will use in the cavity of the wall. We then have a continuous R value. The continuous R value is a value that would be for insulated sheathing that will run up the entire length of the wall. Next, we have the trim tab. Here you can apply different trim packages to either side of the wall. You do not need to draw the trim at all. It is going to be automatically applied to the wall based on your trim settings. To use a different trim package on a specific wall, you can add or remove trim packages as needed. You can also select Advanced to turn specific trims on and off. The trim package that is used is defined under Settings, Document Settings, Trim Settings. So here we can see that we have a concrete exterior trim package applied to the exterior side of our wall. I can also see that I have a custom interior jamb package that is set to our interior walls, and then I have a default interior which is using based on our trim settings under document settings. So it's always going to use this S4S interior trim based trim package. If I want to adjust any one of these, I can simply select Advanced, and this will bring up the advanced option, and we can see that I can select any one of these, and under exterior I can say, do I want to include the window head? If no, I can simply say exclude, and it will remove any trim that I have over the window. This can be done based on a wall itself, so you can select individual walls that you've drawn in your design, and you can turn elements on or off as needed. I'm just going to click cancel because I don't want to make any changes to that. The next tab that we see is the Appearance tab. And here's where you can determine how the wall will look in both your 2D and your 3Ds. Each component of the wall is listed on the left. You can select and edit each one individually. The material settings determine how the wall will look in your rendered and in your display modes. So each element in here will have its own material applied to it. And then you can also apply a 2D option if you wanted to show what it would look like in a 2D view. If you were looking down at the model and you wanted to see materials in 2D, you could apply it in this way as well. Next, we have line work. Here you can determine how the wall will look in 2D. Each component of the wall is listed on the left. You can select and edit each one individually. The pattern settings determine how the wall will look in a pattern display mode. The layer option determines how the walls will be represented in both your 2D model view and in your worksheet views. And these views are actual layers. So again, as you select each one, you're going to see a different layer is selected, and you can apply different colors and different patterns to each of those options. The last tab is the quantity tab. Now the quantity section on the left defines the ordering and sorting information for the wall and how it will appear in your material list. So you can define all of these different options to help with the organization and display of your reports. On the right side, under the assembly section, lists the individual assembled materials to be ordered when the wall is constructed. You can add, edit, and remove assembled products. Assemblies that are grayed out are assemblies that are attached to defined components and can only be edited within the component itself. So these options here are attached to our actual components. They are grayed out. I cannot do anything with these. I would need to go back to the basic tab. Under my components, under the selected component, I would need to adjust the quantity information at this level to have it represent correctly in my quantity reports. We hope this tooltip helps you moving forward. If you like what we are creating, press the like button and be sure to subscribe for future videos. If you have any comments, please let us know in the comments section below. Thank you very much.